way to find the sun. Tell me all that you may know. Show me what you have to show.
Hello. Henry is being a busy bee today. We're just getting ready for our sea survey. But before I show you what he's doing, have a look at this. It's the most beautiful little corner of the Bridgewater Canal. Anyway, back to Henry. So what are you up to, mate?
We've got to put big eye on 15 metres of rope. Apparently it has to go over me.
Has to be able to go around your body, doesn't it?
Yeah, he didn't specify what size you should be either, so because I'm not the biggest person in the world.
These are because the bollards are really big on the Manchester Ship Canal.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. If they use proper ships on there, then they're not going to have silly little rings on the end. Anyway, so I've done one, and I've got the measurements I need. This bit is going to be the part that gets woven in to the other bit, and this marker is my back marker for where it's all actually going to join up, see? And that'll be the size of the hoop at the end of it. Right, so what I've done, I've just made the ends ready for doing the actual splicing, and I can undo all this lot down to there, so it won't go back any further. And now I can start to splice it in. This is usually the most tricky bit, because this is I want it to look good, and it's quite easy to sort of skip one of the underneath tucks. That's what they're called, where they go underneath. So we'll start with the first one's probably always going to be alright, because it hasn't got any competition. Okay, so that's one. And then the next one. I'll go underneath there. I have got a knife with a marlin spike on it for doing this kind of stuff, but they're not too bad actually. They're it's not really hard rope.
Unfortunately, got plastic in it, so it makes it slidier.
Right, so hopefully when I go underneath this one, that should be at the beginning all nicely laid in. Yeah, I think that's okay actually. Yeah, so from there what we do is just continue all the way up. I'll just do another circuit and then you'll get the picture. Okay, so that's the second tuck now, and you can see that it looks quite even, and all you have to do now is just continue that all the way down until you run out of these. There's generally, I try and get 7, possibly 8 tucks on these ropes, because this is going to take a fair bit of tension on it when the boat's pulling on it. Right, so I've done 8 tucks up there all the way along now with all 3, so that's enough. I can cut these off and do what they do. They put a lighter on it and melt it into the rest of it, so that'll make it nice and smooth on the end. It's also very strong, and that's about it really. So it doesn't take very long once you get the hang of it.
Right, well, we are just on our way to Castlefield in Manchester. We've had a week of trying to arrange to go down the Manchester Ship Canal, and it's been the most complicated arranging I've ever had to do. we're on the Bridgewater Canal, and this, with the Manchester Ship Canal, is owned by Peel Holdings, which is a completely separate company to the Canal and River Trust. And narrowboats don't normally go down the Manchester Ship Canal, but because the Bridgewater Canal is broken, it's the only way south at the moment. So we had to book a sea survey first, because until you've had the sea survey done, you can't book anything else, and that's why Henry was doing the ropes. So we had that done yesterday, and then we could fill in the forms, and Tuesday is the only days that you can go down there. To get to that point, it had taken many phone calls, lots of contrasting information from people, but we finally got to that point yesterday where we passed our sea survey and we were able to fill out the forms to go down the canal. And we wanted to go down to Salford Quays first, which means you have to go through a lock called Pomona Lock, which is also owned by Peel Holdings, but which you have to call a completely different number to allow you to go down. And they wouldn't let us down until Peel Holdings, the same company, had confirmed that we could go down the ship canal. And we had to get it done quick because the lady who organises the lock goes on holiday from today. So we had to sort all of that out, and we managed to do that. And then we had to call Canal and River Trust, because you can't go all the way down the ship canal in one fell swoop. It's too long. You would arrive at Ellesmere Port, which is where we're going, when the lockies have gone home, and you would have to hang around outside, which is not a place for narrowboats to be, because, you know, this is a ship route, not a narrowboat route. So what you have to do is break your journey by going off onto the River Weaver, and to do that you have to go through a lock which is run by Canal and River Trust. So you can't book that lock until everything else is confirmed. So finally yesterday I tried to book that lock, and I was told that we couldn't go through there on the Tuesday because the only day they open that lock is Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays. And I insisted that I'd been told on the phone by Canal and River Trust a week before that all we had to do was ring and let them know when we were arriving. She insisted that wasn't so, and I insisted that we had to go through there, because otherwise we were going to be stuck on the Manchester Ship Canal overnight, which you're not allowed to do. And again, even if we did that, it would be very uncomfortable, because big ships going past will suck the water in and out of the lock entrance, and that's not a good place to be on a narrowboat. It's dangerous, really. So this went back and forth and back and forth, and I just said to her in the end, we're in your hands, what could we do? You know, I'd even rung the Port Authority to see if they would let us go down on another day, and they said no. So eventually I got a call back from the lady at CRT, and she said, oh, you're right, you can go down on Tuesday and we'll have somebody to open the lock for you. And when I rang the Port Authority, he let me know that because of all the warm weather we'd had and the lack of rain, Peel Holdings and CRT together had made this arrangement that narrowboats would only go down on a Tuesday because of the amount of water that the locks on the ship canal take. It's a vast amount of water, and narrowboats going up willy-nilly are just wasting the water. So all narrowboats now have to go down on a Tuesday, but obviously nobody had communicated that to the person I spoke to at CRT. So eventually, with a lot of apologising, we got our lock booked on the River Weaver, and we'll go down on Tuesday. In the meantime, we're going into Castlefield today, and tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock sharp we're going down Pomona Lock to Salford Quays, and we'll stay there right in the heart of Manchester for a few days. Honestly, what a palaver, but it's all done. With perseverance, we've got there. Over there is Old Trafford, which for those of you who are football fans will know that Manchester United plays at. And I guess that's owned by Peel Holdings as well. They certainly own the Trafford Centre, which is the biggest shopping centre I've ever seen. It's a huge temple to Mammon. You could go in there for a week and not see everything. And we found a mooring opposite the water point. It's not an official mooring, but we're only here one night. It's obviously meant for a much larger boat, so we're going to have to clamber a bit. But we're facing the right way for the lock in the morning, and we're right in the middle of it all here. It's going to have to be earplugs tonight because of the trams and trains, but well, you expect that in a city, don't you? Well, it's now quite early on Friday morning and we're just leaving this mooring at Castlefield to go down through Panoma Lock. Over there, that waterfall that you can see is the Rochdale Canal overflowing into Castlefields. We've had a lot of rain this week and I would imagine that it's gone some way to helping fill the canals up. The northwest officially went into drought last week, so it can only be good. Anyway, after a good night in Canal Street, of which we'll speak no more, we're off on the next stage of our journey. I love the wooden sails on these boats, or rudders. They look like wings. We've arrived at Pomona Lock, bang on time, and there's 4 chaps here to let us through. We're having to get all the rubbish out first. There's a pallet there, the ubiquitous shopping trolley, a tent around the side. Just following Nicholas out onto the River Irwell. So this is the Bolton and Manchester Canal restored in recent years up to the right. So we're going to have a little explore up there before we go down and moor at Salford Quays. We've got our life jackets on because it's a river here. It's a gunmetal grey day with sunshine and showers forecast. Oh, and suddenly we're in the lock for the Manchester Bolton Canal. And the River Irwell continues up there. I'm not sure how far you can go up there. this. It's very overgrown. I think this is the way less travels up here. We're not sure how the passage is going to be up here. We've been warned that it may be shallow and it might be weedy, but we're going to see how far we can go and then come back out again. Completely under the city here. Nicholas is just going to go and open the doors for us. We can't see a thing. Oh!
Shall I just gently nose through the gates?
Oh, I see. That wasn't very well thought out. The gate that allows us to go up to the lock is locked. So we're going to have to gently... Nicholas has scrambled up that ladder. There's only one paddle working anyway, so... Well, it took a long time, but we're up. I think they're going to have a little wander to the next lock and make sure that we can actually get through before we commit ourselves, because there is a basin here that we can turn in. If not, we don't want to get ourselves stuck. Nicola's is going to check it out.
Yeah, this is we were looking down there. There's a tunnel and some people just appeared.
What, in a boat?
No.
Oh.
Appeared.
Oh, there they are. Oh, it looks like police. It looks like policemen or community officers. They probably want to know what Nicholas is up to. They're just on their way off now. They were actually coming down here looking for their friends, in inverted commas. The guys who go and nick meat and coffee and chocolate from the co-op and then try and sell it on. Apparently they hang out down here, so that's nice. There's some more guys up there now. I'm not sure what they're looking for. There's a ton of rubbish here. Looks like someone tried to make a raft. We're going to have to try and move some of this out of the way before we can get in here. You're just going to push it around the side. Oh, they do. I mean, if there's boats going through a lot, they tend to get damaged. Well, those guys came down out of curiosity more than anything else. They're just asking us about boating in general. We're still not sure if we're going to get through. There's a lot of weed, a lot of rubbish, but Nicholas is determined. There's a lot of huffing and puffing going on over at that gate. Oh yeah, they've managed to do it. Onwards then. Right, we're in the second lock. There's a lot of weed being smoked under that bridge. Well, we're at the end, and the idea is to go up that narrow channel and then we can turn around in the basin at the end, but Henry's just spotted that there's a rope across the water, which would be a bit inconvenient because this is definitely not wide enough to turn in. He's just given me the thumbs up, so It might just be little ramps for the ducks and geese to get out.
It's a couple of platforms for the birds.
Ah, that's okay, good.
Well, and rats.
Sunday morning, and we're heading off this lovely little basin which nobody ever comes to because nobody knows about it, and we're off down to Salford Quay to await our passage on Tuesday. We're going before the rain comes in again because it's been really rainy for a couple of days, so off we go. Well, we're stuck between locks at the moment because all the rubbish that we pulled out the other day has been replaced by more rubbish. So all of this area here and around here is marked for development, so there's going to be lots of flats here. So this should be much improved soon because it's very well looked after just behind me on where we were moored over the weekend. So once the flats come down, this will be looked after as well. There's even a man who goes around every couple of days sweeping up all the geese poo. But for the moment, this is a bit unloved and a dumping ground. But not for long. The developments are going up thick and fast around here. There's another enormous piece of plywood in there. We took it out, but it looks like somebody's just put it straight back in again. Just had a visit from CRT who were alerted to the water dropping here. I think they were surprised to see any boats down here. But apparently we've got to be careful when we go out the bottom lock because there's a sandbar where the river drops sand as it eddies around into the lock. We didn't know about that coming up, so luckily we didn't get stuck on it, and hopefully we won't get stuck on the way out. Okay, well, we finally found our mooring spot tucked around a corner. Not enough room for two of us, so we've breasted up. The weather is foul, but set to improve later in the week. So I'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see you on the next video when you can come down the Manchester Ship Canal with us. We're all moored up, ready to go off tomorrow morning, 7:30 sharp. So, see you on the next video. Have a good week, everyone. Bye for now.
To blue.